Hello, folks joining us over on YouTube. So we will be beginning our live stream officially here at 6 o'clock. So in just a few minutes, we'll get going. Again, thanks for joining us. We encourage you, if you want to leave any comments over on YouTube on the live stream, we'll actually have a person in our presentation here that will be checking those out. So again, thanks for joining us. We'll get started here right at 6 p.m. Hello, everybody. Welcome in. You are here with us at the Green River Software Development Capstone Showcase. What we're doing here tonight, we have our student teams are with us here in a Zoom meeting, and I think we have a good audience with us here as well over on YouTube. So if you're joining us over on YouTube, again, thank you very much for being a part of this. We're very excited to show off all of this student work this year. So I'll start off with some introductions. First off, hello, my name is Tyler Schrock. I'm a software development instructor here at Green River. I'm one of the co-instructors of this course. I'll also introduce the person who is co-teaching this course with me, Garrick West. Garrick, can you say hello and tell folks how you became a part of this class?
Hi, Tyler. I actually started a number of years back, was doing some volunteer work through one of the other instructors of the program I met, Tina Ostrander. She had asked out on the Seattle Java users mailing list if anyone wanted to present on cutting edge concepts in software development to students. And I had an interest and an agenda for introducing students to Agile concepts. And things just kind of went from there. I started out doing a number of presentations and introducing topics around test-driven development, pair programming, all that sort of stuff, and eventually ended up when asked to start participating in kind of a co-teaching capacity with you starting at the beginning of this year.
So for the past 2 quarters here, Garrick and myself have been helping teach this class, which is really kind of a lot more than just a simple class. We have student teams from 2 different cohorts, around 50 total students. Each of these students is part of a team that is working on a real world project here. So we'll talk a little bit more about what those projects entail. But first, we are, again, coming here from the Green River Software Development Department. There are 5 full-time faculty in this department. And also with us on our Zoom call here is Ken Hang. Ken will be checking out the YouTube comments and kind of bringing over some of your information. So Ken, do you want to say hi, give a quick introduction?
Sure, yeah. Thanks, Tyler. Yeah, my name's Ken Hang. I'm also an instructor here at Green River College, teaching in software development. Really, really excited this evening This is an annual event we've done since cohort 1. You're seeing here this evening cohorts 10 and 11 presenting their final projects before they graduate with their bachelor's degree in software development. So really excited to see the work, and I'll hand it back to Tyler.
Thanks, Ken. Yeah, so here at Green River, our program has kind of several primary focuses. We teach programming to students, so in a variety of programming languages. We teach web development, as well as we believe strongly in project-based learning. So this capstone class is really kind of a conglomeration of those three topics moved all together. So as Ken mentioned, we have cohorts 10 and 11 represented today. It's around 50 total students. Not all those students are present today. Some of them actually are already at work in industry and weren't able to make it tonight. So there's some students who have actually been able to complete these requirements a little bit more quickly and are already out in the workforce. And some students that are going to be presenting today will also be starting up some full-time work in the software development field as well. So again, congratulations to all these students who are about to graduate, about to enter the workforce. We're happy to have them here today. So the projects that we're going to be seeing, as I've mentioned a little bit already, these are working with real clients. So some of these clients are here in Washington. Some are located other places across the country, and we actually have a few clients from Canada this year as well. So this remote format that we've been using throughout this course has allowed us to make connections and work with folks from all over the place. These clients have a large variety of needs as well. Some are small businesses, nonprofits, startup companies, and things like that. And some are even friends or family members of some of the team members that you might hear from today. So these are folks that have real needs, real demands, and we're actually building software to help them out in whatever they might need there. These teams are also self-managed. They are also self-managed. So although Garrick and I are the instructors of this course, the teams are the ones that are making decisions of what gets done when, how to overcome technical obstacles, and how to prioritize all these tasks they're taking on, again, from these past 2 quarters. And we're using an agile Scrum methodology here. This means, again, that teams build quickly, they build rapidly, and they bring prototypes to their clients about every 2 weeks to receive feedback, iterate, and make changes along the way. Okay, so that's kind of the structure of what we have done in this class. For tonight, though, we want to focus on these presentations. We want to thank everybody for joining us. If you haven't already, say hello in the YouTube chat. We're glad that you're all here. We're glad that you're going to be joining with us tonight. You won't hear very much from myself or other folks other than the teams tonight. The teams are who we really want to highlight. They've been working hard on these projects since January, and we're excited to show off what they've been doing. We would love your questions and feedback in those YouTube comments as well. Ken will be monitoring those YouTube comments as things come through, and there will be a small Q&A section after each one of these teams gets finished presenting. And just so you know as well, this live stream will be saved over on YouTube for later viewing. So if there's something you want to come back and see, if there's information you want to come back and look at, some students have included some contact information and things like that. We welcome you to do so. All right. So without further ado, we're going to jump right into our presentations. I'll be introducing the teams by their kind of collective team name. Each team has selected a project. They'll tell you a little bit. They will tell you a little bit about who they've been working with, what they've created, and kind of some of the things that they've learned along the way. So with that, I will introduce our Intuitive Monkeys team. This is going to be the first team to present, the first team of 8 that we'll be presenting tonight. So Intuitive Monkeys, whenever you're ready, you can go ahead and take on that screen share and begin your presentation.
All right. Can everybody hear me okay? Good. Awesome. All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Terrace, and I'm here along with Arshdeep, Lewis, and David. Together, we make up the Intuitive Monkeys. Thank you all for attending tonight to see what our cohorts have been working on for these last quarters. It's been great. It's been long. It's been exciting. It's been fun. I want to introduce to you to our client, Peter Ostrander. He's the outreach coordinator at St. James Episcopal Church in Kent. Peter has been an excellent client to work with. We met weekly over the last 2 quarters, and I want to thank him for his time and the effort that he's put into this project in order for us to be able to make a better product. Our project was inherited, which means that we were given 2 sites originally developed by another Green River team. And one of them was created for people looking for help with things like paying for gas, utilities, etc., while the other was built for managing those applicants. The two of them were functionally separate, which was our first task in the project. That is to unify the two sites so that our client does not have to constantly re-input the same data manually. Also, we added a slew of new features for the client and his team in terms of managing applicants. And I'm going to pass it off now to David, who will cover some of the more technical aspects of our project and a bit on some of the changes we made.
So both of the original websites were developed on a LAMP tech stack with a fat-free framework. We decided to just continue that rather than reinvent the wheel there. And just to let you know, throughout the project, we spent a lot of time refactoring the existing code base and chasing down various bugs and fixing those, which is kind of hard to show you, but I just wanted to point that out. So when a person comes to the intake website requesting they would fill out a form like you see before you. And then after that, our client would be able in his website to look that information up using the new feature. Lewis, next page. The highlighted view requests. We connected the two different websites together so that he could pull this information up on his and put in a few columns to look for duplicates per his parameters to help him out in that. And then when he finds the one that he wants, if he double clicks, it would then populate the form to input the information on a new page. And in the red, you see the help that the client is requesting is highlighted just to help him out. And there's also a category of eligibility that would take any time that they have provided assistance, and it would calculate when they are eligible again for new assistance. Next, Archdeep is going to talk about some more features.
We also created a budget and task scheduler page where admin can set up like weekly budget or track meetings with clients. And bottom of this page, admin can also add new weekly tasks with client information. And admin also has the ability to update or delete tasks when a task is completed. And next, let's look at our weekly operating rhythm. We applied Agile principles. Our schedule matched up pretty well as a team, and we were able to do a lot of pair programming. And we did client meetings each week. We met with Peter every Wednesday to discuss our progress and to get feedback. And each week we did code review to make sure it meets the definition of done. And we also updated our GitHub with the code. And we lastly delivered and deployed new changes to the site every 2 weeks. Next, we'll get the overall demo of the site from Lewis.
Hi, this is a demonstration of some of the features that we developed for the St. James Outreach site. We start with the assistance request form. I've already filled out the form with several of the items. We can also pick several types of assistance request. Upon submitting the form, the administrator can then go back to the St. James Reach site and he can view the recently submitted request. In order to submit the guest, he clicks on it and the new guest form is already filled out and it indicates to him what types of assistance have been requested, such as rent, thrift store, and food. At this point, the administrator can submit a voucher for one of those types of assistance and submit the guest. View his guest by going to the search page, sorting by the last guest, and you can view that guest and you can see that the voucher was submitted. So the guest has been properly added. Another feature that was added is the budget page. This allows the administrator to each week track meetings with his clients, his budget, and the amount of thrift store vouchers that he submitted. To update the budget, he puts an amount and he sets the budget, the weekly budget submitted. For thrift, he can reset the thrift at the end of each week, and the number of thrift vouchers that he's issued against a budget of 2 are indicated. Every time he wants to issue thrift, he just clicks a button and it increments the number of thrift vouchers that he's issued by 1. In order to submit a task, he just puts a task in with the client name, the date that he's going to meet with the client, the time, the types of resources that he's going to review with them, and his estimated budget. And then he adds a task. The task then shows up here. Upon meeting with the client, he selects the task by double-clicking it, and he can edit the amount of money that he issued as a voucher to the client. And the task is estimated. And then the budget is automatically calculated to determine what the remaining budget is. He can then select that task, archive that task, and then view other archived tasks from previously. That concludes our demonstration.
And any questions or comments?
So team, it sounds like from what you mentioned in one of your earlier slides, you inherited 2 websites here. What was it like to work out those types of integrations and also add new features on top of that? Did you find it challenging connecting with previous work, or did you find yourself doing a lot of refactoring in order to get those things to cooperate?
Yeah, we did a fair bit of refactoring, and one of the sites had been developed in the fat-free framework previously, and the other site hadn't been. So one of the early sprints, we decided to focus on refactoring, bringing up one of the sites into the fat-free framework so that at least the sites looked and felt similarly. And I think that refactoring early gave us a deep understanding of how the sites work and how we could best integrate them. And that really set us up for a lot of success as we added the new features.
We have a question that came in from YouTube here. Which parts were the toughest to build?
Any other teammates? I think one of the original ones, one of the ones that I think we struggled with was the budget and the weekly task page, because you have a lot of going on that, and almost 3 separate forms all submitting on that same page.
So I'm Peter Ostrander. I'm the person that they helped me out, and we developed a pretty great relationship, I think, over the last 2 quarters. For me, it was just so much fun working with these guys. They were really able to integrate into these different systems, everything that I was hoping for. It really simplifies my tasks. It makes it easier for my volunteers to work. And all of this is for the purpose of serving our particular community, Kent community, with all the things that we do for them. So I really applaud their work, their tenacity, their ability to take my words, my layperson ideas, and turn them into code, and so I could actually see something that I was hoping to do. They were very good at communicating and working with me, and I really am so excited about the usability of this website and the way they integrated everything. Thank you, guys. Thanks, Intuitive Monkeys. And congratulations.
Awesome.
It's been a pleasure.
And Peter,
Good
thanks for
question.
joining us today. We appreciate having you there. Yeah, go ahead, Garrick.
You mentioned pairing. In terms of the time you spent pairing, what did you find was the most effective, or maybe one of those aha moments in terms of getting value out of pair programming?
I honestly feel like programming, one of the biggest benefits that we saw out of that was simply the little things that whoever was typing at the moment maybe missed, the dreaded semicolon. mismatched parentheses, things like that. That's where it was honestly really helpful because, you know, you don't have to go load the page up and, okay, something's not working. What's wrong? And you're looking at the code, everything seems to be fine. And, you know, that's honestly one of the most simple mistakes that anybody can make, but one of the most elusive at times.
And code review almost happens automatically when you pair program. So one of the things you want to do is get a good code review before you commit.
Awesome. Team, again, thanks so much. We've also heard that there's a lot of kudos and praise coming from the YouTube channel as well. So if you get a moment, you might want to stop by over there and see what some of those other folks have shared as they've taken a look at your project. So again, thanks so much for your hard work these past 2 quarters. It's really cool to see that website go into action here, and especially something that's helping our community here very close to Green River College. All right, so next up, we're going to hand it over to another team. The next team we have up is called Level Up. So Level Up, go ahead, you can begin your presentation.
All right, can everyone hear me? Wonderful. Hi, everyone. We are Team Level Up, and we're very excited to present the restaurant table management system that we've been working on this year. First, I'd like to introduce our team. My name's Corey Rogers. You'll see me in the middle on the slide there. On the left is Scott Thompson, and on the right is Demetrio Boychuk. And I do want to mention we have a 4th team member, Julia Evans, who worked with us during the winter quarter on the project. And Julia left the team after winter quarter to accept a full-time job as a software engineer. So we're super happy for her, and we're very grateful for the contributions that she made to the project. So next, I'd like to introduce our client, Cheaper Eats. Cheaper Eats is a tech startup company out of Canada that focuses on the restaurant industry. So Cheaper Eats pairs a mobile ordering platform and social media network for restaurant customers with a suite of business services for restaurant owners. And specifically, we've been working with Ralph Mamari. Ralph is the co-founder of Cheaper Eats, and he's one of the lead developers at the company. So he served as our mentor over the course of the year. And during that time, he spent countless hours training us and reviewing our code and just generally helping us develop into better engineers. So we wanted to take an opportunity to thank him for the time that he invested in us and for the opportunity to work on this project. So now we'll move on to talking about the project. So, excuse me. We've been working to develop a table management system for the restaurant owners that use the Cheaper Eats business services. The idea was to give restaurant owners the ability to manage their entire restaurant from a single dashboard. Users should be able to design their table layouts to match the physical layouts in their restaurant. And they should also be able to use those layouts to manage their customer interactions, such as seating guests, putting parties on waiting lists, and making reservations. Specifically, our team focused on developing the front end of the table management system. So what technologies did we use? We built the system primarily in React with TypeScript and Node.js. We used React hooks as a way to handle state within our components. And we used Storybook, which is a UI component explorer, to view and test the different states for our components in isolation. We also use styled components to isolate CSS stylings within each component. And lastly, we use the React Draggable project, which is an open source project that you can use with React to make components draggable on a canvas and using CSS transformations. So now I'll turn it over to Scott to talk to you about our development methodology.
Thank you, Corey. So we built our application based on component-driven development. For those that don't know, component-driven development is the process of building a UI component from the ground up. This allows for fast testing and also, more importantly, greater reusability. This leads to why we are using this in our application, because in the process of developing this, we need to develop a lot of smaller components, which can be a little tricky in terms of functionality. So this helps make building the application a lot easier. And as for how we implemented this, we developed these components in our React UI library, where then we would import them into the main application itself. Next page, please. So these are the original designs that we created in Figma. If you don't know, Figma is the standard design tool that's used to sort of create designs kind of like this. And these are sort of like the illustrations of when we were building this project on what we were aiming for in constructing it. Next slide, please. And we built the components themselves using Storybook. If you're not familiar with Storybook, Storybook is a tool that's used to develop UI components in the form of stories. And what's really cool about Storybook is that you can have all sorts of different edge cases and props that you can use to test single components and to make sure you get the functionality that you want in your components itself. Next slide, please. In our application, we have an edit page. Now, the goal for our edit page is to allow users to create any sort of layout that they want for the restaurants. This included with the main functionalities such as adding new tables, moving new tables so they can design any layout that they want, being able to clone, resize, and even rename any tables, as well as deleting the said tables. Next slide, please. So this is how our edit page will look. You can see, of course, all the different components that we designed that will be equipped with all sorts of functionality with that page. And with that, I'll pass it over to Demetrio.
Thank you, Scott. Next, we have assembled a management page where the user could input the customer information for upcoming reservations and seat their customers. The page includes functionality to input customer information using a form, select an open table for a customer, display seated customers on the toolbar, and update tables on the canvas. Next slide, please. Here is how our management page looks like. The user can select the dining room they wish to start seating their customers. Then they can start adding new customers to a selected table. Next slide, please. Let us demonstrate. Here, as you can see, we have our edit page view that new restaurant owners will see. From here, we can go ahead and add couple tables to our view and move them around. To add more flexibility to our system, restaurant owners have the ability to change table numbers to match their current restaurant layout. Then we can select tables and change the amount of chairs they need, either by adding more chairs or taking away the chairs. If the restaurant owner needs a duplicate table, they can select the table and clone them. Also, the restaurant owner has the ability to remove any table they wish. From here on, we will switch to the management page to see it in action. In this page, we can view our current restaurant layout and start adding couple reservations. If you click on the New Customer button, a window will pop up that will ask for a party name, party size, reservation date, and reservation time. Then we can go ahead and select vacant tables and select the specific table that we want to add to the reservation. After that, we can see the reservation on the left side bar, as well as on canvas where the table has been changed to being occupied. From here, I will give it away to Corey.
Thanks, Demetria. So thank you all for listening. That concludes our presentation. This has been a great project to work on. We've learned a lot and gained a ton of experience, and we're really glad to share the results with you. So at this point, we'd love to hear any feedback that you might have, and we're happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, team. Over from YouTube, we're seeing a lot of comments about the user interface and kind of the overall styling and feel of the application that you created. Can you talk a little bit about how you came up with that design and any of the potential challenges that you came across in trying to create it?
Sure, yeah, we worked really closely with Ralph on developing the design. He had some initial design concepts from various things that we had looked at on the internet. And then we worked with him to specifically design in Figma. And give him a lot of credit. He worked closely with us in Figma and gave us a whole lot of feedback. And I also want to say that Julia worked extensively on the design, so I want to give her a shout out too. We were really happy with the way that the design worked out, and yeah, that was a collaborative project in Figma.
Awesome. There was also a comment here. I'll see if I can find this. Your client is actually over in YouTube and left a comment there and mentioned, fun fact, all the technology this team used for this project is what the industry is looking for today. Very interesting. Which technologies that you used had you had experience with in the past, and which ones were new to your team?
So we had all worked with JavaScript a little bit, but I think for all of us, React and TypeScript and like pretty much all the tools that we used were brand new for all of us at the beginning of the project. So we spent quite a bit of time earlier in the year learning React, becoming comfortable with that, and then learning JavaScript, ES6, and TypeScript. And we learned styled components, which is how we encapsulate the CSS within each component. So all of those technologies were new to us, but one of the best things about having, we're very appreciative that we had a tech startup as our client, because it gave us a chance to work with a lot of engineers and learn a lot of these tools that are relevant to the industry. So we're very thankful for that opportunity.
Any other questions from Garrick or folks in the room? I want to give kind of a moment to let anybody else here raise a question for the team. All right, I'll throw one more out there. You mentioned component-driven development. I know that was kind of an important part of your project. What would you say that you took away from the learning process of taking on a component-driven development project? How did that differ from a more traditional product that you might have worked on in the past?
Well, I think the focus on really encapsulating everything that you need for an individual component and really working from the idea of having different levels in your project, just that separation. So when we went to build the different pages for the project, when we got to building the edit page and the management page, we really had to think about how each individual component was going to go into the page and how those things were going to work together. So one of the interesting things that we ran into a number of bugs with was we had different states going in different components at different levels of the project. And sometimes when you put all those things together, weird things happen. So you really have to kind of dive through the levels of the project and figure out how the information is getting passed in and out at every level and between the levels. So that was one of the things that we spent a lot of time early on trying to debug and figuring out how those things would work together. But ultimately, I think all of us, we were talking about it earlier today, we all came to really appreciate working with this development methodology because you really can build the thing and test it, with 100 different states in Storybook before you get it into something else. So it's going to work, or at least it should work. So you have ideas as to why it's not when it doesn't.
A question for you in terms of collaboration. How did you feel going in terms of working in a team environment with source control at the beginning of the project versus the end?
Scott, Demetrio, do you guys want to field one?
So when we first started this project, we started off not knowing really anything about React and TypeScript, so it was a big learning curve. And I think one of our biggest strengths was, as a team, we really collaborated well together. Our team cohesion was very solid, good communication, and that sort of allowed us to sort of grasp the idea a lot quicker. So if we ever had any blockers, we can always reach out to everyone and sort of work together to sort of create this end result, which I think we're all very proud of.
Yeah, and Derek, one thing about we got a lot of experience. Another great thing about working with Ralph is we were doing code reviews. So anything that we did was going into the library through a PR, through GitHub, and going through that process. We all learned a lot about GitHub over the course of the project and how to work with that.
I'll voice one other question that came through from the YouTube chat. Is this application being used in the field, or what's the future of the software that you've worked on so far?
Yeah, so right now our components in the React UI library, that is an open source, that's a repo that's open to the public right now. So that can be taken, and those components could be taken and incorporated into projects. The terminal project where we actually have the management system, that is a Cheaper Eats private repository. Our system's not live yet because they have some additional development work to do on it. There's a few more things. We've got a few more customer flows that have to happen, particularly on the management page. It took longer than expected to build that edit page. There was a lot of complexity there that we hadn't necessarily that worked our brains through in the beginning of the project. But there are a couple of other things that we have to work on for the front end, or that the next team does. And then for the back end, Ralph's engineers will still be building out the back end. So they'll need to connect the system. But we left everything to where we're in a separate branch on the terminal project. So once they get the back end ready to hook up, they can just pull everything directly into the main branch of the project and take it live.
Awesome. Sounds good. Again, team, thank you very much. I think it was great to hear as well from your team about the collaboration that goes on. It's hard to overstate how much goes on throughout these a few quarters. I know your team, you mentioned, lost a member partway through. So great job with all the work that you're able to get done. And with many of these things, there's always definitely more to take on, even outside of what's able to be done in 2 quarters. So great work with all that you're able to get accomplished there. All right, so we're going to keep moving right along down our list here. The next team that we'll invite forward to present is Team Joemcatch. So Joemcatch, you can go right ahead.
All right. Hey everyone, thank you for joining us on our final project showcase. We're Team Joemcatch, and the project we've been working on for this quarter is called Mentor in Law. My name is Josh Christensen, and a main focus I had on this project was putting the front end together. And following that, I'll let everyone else introduce themselves, starting with Imelda.
Hi, I'm Imelda Medina. I mainly worked on the front end side of this website.
Oh, hi, I'm Chad. I work mostly as backend work.
Hi, I'm Keller Flint. I focused on the backend with ASP and Azure. We also wanted to give a quick shout out to the third-year team that we worked with, Heather, Sean, Tiffany, Sarah, and Jared, who lent us a hand with some of the additional styling and front-end work on many of the pages on the site. So thanks, guys.
All right, thank you, everyone. So our client is Nisa Chopra, and I'd like to start off by thanking Nisa for giving us this amazing opportunity. This project is the biggest one we have worked on as a team, and it's been a great learning experience for each one of us. So Nisa is currently a tech lawyer who also manages other services on the side, like having a public newsletter for law students and lawyers. Her goal is to help law students and lawyers grow by offering ways to gain experience and learn in ways that law schools normally wouldn't offer or teach you. With the things she's focused on now, she pursued an idea and came to us looking to create her own online digital learning platform, targeting that specific audience. So her vision for this platform was to offer a few services to those law students and lawyers where they could expand their knowledge and help build their career by accessing a variety of tools and services that the website would offer. And following that, I'll hand it off to Imelda to further explain these tools and services.
Thanks, Josh. In order to accomplish our clients' needs, we created a website where lawyers can volunteer to become mentors for law students. We also created a form for mentors to sign up to the mentorship program, a form for mentees to sign up to receive newsletters. To make the sign-up process easier, we are also using third-party signups like Google and LinkedIn. Finally, we created an event library where the users can register and sign up for the upcoming events. With that, I'll pass it to Keller. Thank you.
Thanks, Imelda. I'm going to talk a little bit about the technologies that we used for this site and why we chose them. So for this project, we decided to use the Microsoft stack for our backend with ASP.NET Core and Azure. We chose to use this stack because we know that the work we did this quarter is just the beginning of Nisa's vision for the Mentor in Law platform. And we wanted to use sort of platforms and technologies that would allow her a lot of flexibility moving forward and continue to add functionality in the future, and avoiding limitations of platforms like Squarespace or WordPress. Using ASP and Azure also gives a relatively quick and painless way to deploy changes and updates while preserving the live data and easy integrations with some of the third-party services that we used. Our front end was done mainly with Material Design Bootstrap and lots of JavaScript and CSS to customize the look and functionality of each site. So with that, I'm going to hand it off to Chad to demo our site.
All right, thanks, Keller. Here's our site, and it starts off with showing the cookie notification at the bottom. Get this out of the way. And then if you scroll down, we have the About section. In the Events section, showing previous and upcoming events. This is dynamically populated from what the admin inputs in the backend. And if we want to see all of them, we can go to the page. And this shows everything. Go back. We have a testimonial section that rotates. And then we have a link to become a mentor. And then we have a sign up form. And this expands when we hit this button to reveal all the fields if they're interested in signing up for the newsletter. And then they can read old newsletters over here with this link. And then we have a facts section. And we have a social proof showing where all the mentors come from. And down here we have links to social media and various resources. And then if you want to contact Misa, you have a contact page, and this will email her. And then to sign up to become a mentor, I'm going to bounce back to the local page so we don't mess up Misa's data. And then I'll sign out of here. Become a mentor. All right, and then we have this animated form that cycles through, and we'll let you proceed unless you fill in all the valid data. Auto-populated. And then based on this answer, the lawyer status, if they're currently practicing, it will ask them lawyer-related questions like these down here. But if they decide they are not a lawyer, or if they've never practiced law, we will skip that section. All right, and then this gives us a confirmation that we created our mentor-in-law registration. And then it will also give us an email. We need to go link back to the home. And then if we want to sign in as admin, we'll be able to see a table of all the mentors.
The most exciting part of the process.
Yeah, so this is what I just signed up. And then I can view the details as the admin. And then the delete is very similar. This gives you a confirmation. And make sure you want to delete this user. Oh God. All right. So it looks like we got an error on the local. I think that might just be local. We'll have to look into that. And then if we can go back to the events. And here we have the ability to create new events, to edit and delete events. So we can edit this currently existing event and delete if we want to on that page. And this concludes our demo, and I would like to thank Nisa and everyone who helped us throughout this project. And that concludes our presentation. Any questions?
Team, I believe we actually have Nisa over on YouTube, and she has thanked you there for your hard work and all that you've put into this. I'll hand it back to Garrick. I believe Garrick was going to field a question there.
I had a quick question. I thought it was a really nice touch that in the registration there was the progress bar with the percentage, which as a consumer I hate going through a sequence of questions and not knowing how long is this going to take. Was that something that that the team had come up with, or that the customer had suggested? What was the inspiration for that?
Was that Josh's idea?
That was, I think that was Nisa. Nisa, yeah.
All right.
Fine.
Yeah, we found a Typeform service that NISA really liked, but we didn't want to pay for a Typeform service. So we sort of borrowed some of their the look and feel of their application, and that was one of the features that NISA wanted. Mm-hmm.
Very nice touch.
Speaking of look and feel, I know from working with your team a little bit that you spent quite a bit of work on both the style and look of the site, but also adding a lot of features that go into it, such as adding events, getting people registered and signed in, and things like that. What was it like to manage those types of demands, and how did you figure out which came first, the design or the actual development side? What was it like to manage that as a team?
So I'll just mention, we started off mainly with design because we did start off from scratch. So we had nothing to work with in the first place. And while we were working on the front end, we just built out on the website from templates that we got from Nisa, who created them herself. Thank you for that. That saved a lot of time. And then we kind of split into groups, and we split it into back end, front end, and we'd had 2 people focus on front end, 2 people focus on back end, and everything kind of connected after that.
Yeah, the second quarter, we also had the third-year team that was interested in joining us, and that helped a lot. We let them handle more of the front end while we focused on the back end and functionality.
Yeah. From your tech stack, which of those technologies was new to your team, and which areas were you more comfortable with as the quarter started?
Actually, I can speak more. We had a little bit of experience with ASP because we had done a little bit in the previous quarter, but not a whole lot. So I think most of the tech stack in the back end was pretty new to everybody. ASP was new, and Azure was certainly new. We learned all sorts of things with Azure. I think the front end was fairly familiar. I don't know, other people can maybe speak to that a little bit more.
For front end, we kind of worked with multiple things, but for the CSS and everything, we used a new library for that, but it was still similar to what we learned in previous quarters. So it was kind of nicely flowed into the process. It was MD Bootstrap.
Very nice. A couple comments from YouTube. One person mentioning, it looks like this all took a lot of time and effort. I would echo the same thing. You can tell there's a lot of thought put into, yeah, like I was talking about, both the style and kind of the substance that's part of that web page. Another question, how was it working with another cohort? Was it difficult to have communication from your team outside to other folks?
I'll pass this on to Keller. He was Keller and Imelda were the 2 people working with it, but I was kind of in the back. But even from the back, I knew it was kind of like, it was a whole new experience for us. So it was definitely a little more hectic than normal, but it went pretty smoothly in my opinion.
Yeah, I would say managing a team of 8, effectively 8 or 9 developers on a GitHub repository is an experience that I was not at all prepared to start doing. There's a lot of work in there on the back end. Managing just like so much of my job became just like making sure review requests were coming in correctly and all that. So yeah, definitely got some like project management experience, but it's been great working with the team. They learned really quickly how to use GitHub and do pull requests and open branches. So after a few weeks, I think we got it down.
I'll put out a couple more questions here. We've just gotten a bunch of them from YouTube, and so I'll see what we can say. Were any UI libraries used in the design?
So I did mention MD Bootstrap, and they had a lot of pre-built CSS that we could use, which is always helpful. But following that, we also used an animation library called animate.css or .style. There's a website for that as well. So they helped with a lot of the animations on the website and making things look more put together.
And I'll throw in one last question that's actually coming from your client over on YouTube. What was your favorite and least favorite part of the project?
That's a good question. My favorite part was the event system. I think the event system is super cool. That was really fun to build.
I agree. There was a whole video library built with ASP, and in general, for me, it was the language. Learning ASP, I've never worked with it, and as much as I did this quarter, it was really nice.
I like doing mostly the backend work, like with the databases and stuff.
I'll say what I like more is the final, what we have at the end, looking at the entire website, and it was a nice experience. So yeah, I like everything.
I would say on the challenge side, definitely the styling was not something that our team was like super ready to like come into with the sort of intensity of the design requirements, which is, you know, part of why we ended up working with another team partway through. So I think that was probably the, I don't want to call it least favorite, most challenging part of it for us probably was working with so much style, yeah, custom styling.
Yep, I agree.
Well, team, again, congratulations. Great work with the site. It definitely seems like a pretty ambitious project that you got a lot of different aspects of it covered there. So great work over these last 2 quarters. And I'm sure you might want to say hello to your client over in the YouTube chat if any of you are active over there. So again, thanks for your presentation and also thanks for your work. We're going to keep moving down our list and on to our next team. Up next to present will be the Java Boys. So Java Boys, whenever you're ready, you can begin your presentation.
Hi everyone, we're the Java Boys. Our project is Ethan Foods mobile app. My name is Chun Hai. With me, I have Aaron and King Hong. Our client Ethan Foods is a bubble tea material supplier in Washington State who provides supplies and deliver service to a lot of local restaurants and drink shops. They receive the orders from customers mostly by texting message, and sometimes they receive it by phone call and handwritten the orders. I used to work for them, and I know the order and customer managing process has been a big headache to them. So we came up with an idea to create a mobile application combining with support of a web page to help us implement admin function, interact with database, and automate ordering process. We've been doing all web development from previous courses. So we wanted to get exposed of different technologies and also use some techniques we learned in our previous Java classes. Next, I'm gonna hand off to King Hong to talk about tech stack and challenges we had encountered.
Yeah, for our tech stack in our admin page, which is the web page, we use the web coding language such as the HTML, JavaScript, and CSS, and also the Bootstrap to build our admin page. And we use the Java to build the Android Studio mobile app for our user page. And then we use the GitHub to combine all the code together. And for database, we use the Firebase. Can we go to the next slide? Yeah, for the challenger, the Firebase data is like the NoSQL, which is like different from our crosswalk result because in our crosswalk we only learn about is MySQL, and also it's the mobile development because like we never learn something about mobile. It is also a challenge for us, and also the most important is like the implement data structure and algorithm in a real project, but not just like school project, and also time management and remote work is a challenge for all of us right now. And I will pass to Chun-Hai talk about our other feature.
We've enabled important features on this app per client's request, but due to the worry of time constraint, we put many of the key features of it in the demos. So we're gonna play the first demo here.
Place an order. Let's go to nav bar. Let's go to topping. So in this section, we can only search or place order for topping items. So let's do some boba, strawberry popping boba. Let's add some. Okay, go back. going to be the same thing for powder, syrup, equipment, and the container. But for this section, the all product section, we can search for or place order for all of the items that Ethan Foods currently carrying. Let's do some tapioca here. Also, I'd like to order some taro powder. Now let's go to the shopping cart.
All right.
If I want to add more for tapioca, I can just click it and add some more here. Now the quantity is updated and also the price is updated as well. Now let's place order. So the order will be sent to myself as my own copy, and also it can be sent to Ethan Foods account to let them know what quantity and item I ordered. Okay, let's go to check the email. It should take about 10 to 15 seconds to receive the email. Seems like we got it.
Okay, next I'm gonna pass it off to Aaron to talk about some other features of admin page.
To place an order.
All right, so as you notice, we're doing a ordering system kind of, so we're gonna need a admin page. So the admin page is where our client would spend most of their time managing orders. So from the orders page, the client could process an order, print the order details, or delete the order. And we added as well a products page where you could see the products that's currently on our mobile app listed up. And from there, they could add new products. They could edit the values in the products, or they could delete it. And from there, I'm gonna go on a demo and for our orders page. Hello everyone. So here's our orders page. So this is the page where the orders put on by our client's customer is available and can be seen. You could delete and process it as well. So here's the page where they would manage their orders. So here you notice that the data that was put on by our client's customer is available. And from here, you could see two buttons on the side of it. Here, they could delete it or process it. So if we click the process button, it's gonna go to another page, have all of the data that's on that row of the table on the page. And here you could see the print button. So if you click that, they could print out the orders. So let's cancel that for now. Go back to the page. Now notice that the order that we just processed is now gone from this table, pending orders. And now you could see it here, available on the process orders. And from here, they could print it out as well, just in case they missed out on the printing process on the processing order. Go back. And here they could delete it as well. So if you click delete, gonna pop up a confirmation box. Make sure that you didn't misclick it. So if you click cancel, it's not gonna delete it. Otherwise, it's gonna delete it. And now we could see that it's now gone. Same thing for the pending orders table. The delete button here does the same thing as the previous table. So if you click delete, it's gonna pop up the same message. If you click cancel, it's not gonna do anything. Otherwise, it's gonna delete that row of that table. So yeah. All right, so from here, we're gonna go on a demo for the products page. So as mentioned earlier, the products page is where we could see all the products that we currently have on a mobile app. So hello everyone. So here's our product page. Here you can see a listing of our product that's currently on our mobile app. So if you look at this, and if you look at our mobile app, you could see that on Powder one, you have taro, apple, and melon. Yeah, taro, apple, and melon. And so from here we could add a new product to our mobile app. Say for example, if we look at this, select an image, the product name, put a price on it, and unit of measurement. So it's gonna be 20, 10 bucks per bag. Click add. Wait for a second, and it should pop up a alert button, and we could see it here, added here, and we could see it as well on our mobile app here. All right, so from here we could edit it. Say change it, and notice our button here is disabled, so you can't really do any misclicks. So if you click update here, it's gonna update the price on here, and we could see it updated on our mobile app as well. And for the delete, if you click delete here, it's gonna pop up a confirmation button, making sure that you did not misclick it or anything. So if you click cancel, it's not gonna delete it. Otherwise, it's gonna delete it. And you can see here it's now gone, and it's gone on our mobile app as well. So that's all we have for this page. All right, so that concludes our presentation for tonight. So thank you everyone for your time, and if you have any feedback or comments, questions, we greatly appreciate it.
Team, great work. It was really cool to see in one of your first slides, you showed kind of the on paper ordering. What was it like to move a system that was done by hand on paper and then trying to move that onto software? How did you decide that a mobile app was going to work, and what was the process like to move from paper to something that was going to be then digital?
Yeah, because I used to work for them, so I know it's yeah, it's pretty much like a dinosaur way to do the business, like handwritten something on the paper. So yeah, we came up an idea to create an mobile app, mobile application to help our client kind of automate the ordering process, and also kind of manage the customer customer informations.
Can you talk a little bit about how you decided to use Firebase? It seems like an interesting tool, and you mentioned it kind of uses a different database style than what you'd used in the past. What was it like to learn that and to take that on for your project?
For the mobile database and for the Android part, the Firebase is first choice, and because we need to upload and edit it and then delete the image, the MySQL is not that nice and friendly for the image, so we use the Firebase, and that's the reason why we chose the Firebase, because it's flexible for the image. Yeah.
There's a comment from YouTube here. Folks mentioned that you created a really nice flowing design for both web and mobile. What did you use as far as your design process? Did you come up with the designs yourself, or was that something that your client was instructing you to do? How did you design both the mobile app and the administrative tool?
We
Yeah.
initially has a original design, but we after we talked to our client and show her some demo and show her what it looks like, she gave us some valuable feedback and advice. So we improve it and change it to another layout and design, and come back to her and show it to her. She likes it. Yeah, we really appreciate our clients cooperative, and yeah, and she's been very flexible about our schedule as well. Yeah, really appreciate that too.
Awesome, team. Again, great work. It's impressive to see both the mobile app and kind of the development and editing side of things both being created. Taking on two tasks is definitely a big thing to do. So great work with everything that you were able to create during these last 2 quarters. And it's especially cool to see, again, a project that impacts somebody that you know directly, a problem that you knew of and found a way to apply some cool technology there to solve it. So again, great work with everything that you're able to do there. And again, for the sake of time, we have so much to see. We're going to move on to our next team. So the next team that we will bring up is the Code Boys. So Code Boys, when you're ready, go ahead and begin your presentation.
Hello, I am Tyler Slosser, and I have with me Elric Barkey and Ben Halbert. Today, we will be displaying our work over the last 6 months with our client on a PDF converter and data management system for his office. Now, a little bit about our client. Our client is Mark McClure. He is the managing attorney at McClure Law Group here in Kent, and he has been an amazing client. He has been critiquing our work to what he feels would be industry standard for people of his profession, while also giving us compliments, such as the last person who worked on this project had a master's in computer science. So the fact that we were even attempting this was exceeding his expectations.
When designing our product, we initially took inspiration from our client's old CaseKeeper application, in addition to preferences that our client has. So for the homepage on our site, we display all pending clients that have filled out a law firm's client intake form and are awaiting a response from the law firm. This table shows any potential conflicts of interest that could arise from accepting said clients. Once a client has been accepted and is loaded, all of their information can be accessed through these tabs. For instance, our client can go ahead and contact. Any of our clients can have a number of cases. Case information can be edited and added and deleted in a similar fashion. And again, all these tabs have full create, read, update, and delete functionalities. If our law firm wants to go ahead and bill a client, they can do that through this page. After a set of statement parameters have been entered, that information will be displayed so that that information can be printed, saved, given to the client. And finally, excuse me, a law firm can edit any data that's specific to a law firm, but not a client or case. So things like attorney information, actions, and categories. Some of the difficulties that we have ran into over the course of this project were, for instance, initially learning our client's old database tables. After picking apart how the tables worked together, and in addition to any changes that our client wanted to make to those tables, we've had to figure out how we are going to export the information from our client's old database into the new one. And soon after development, we realized that WordPress, our client's current domain host, was going to be rather restrictive in the tools that we could use for the site. After discussing these restrictions with our client, we decided the best course of action would be to upload the site to a subdomain so that we could still develop in the way that we felt best for the project, and made sure that we wouldn't run into any potential deployment issues. And finally, one of our greater challenges was figuring out how to recreate the old Casekeeper system. Once we picked apart how Casekeeper worked, we realized there was a number of different ways we could go about this project, and figuring out the best tools for this project was quite a process.
For our tech stack, we use PHP and MySQL together for our management of user data. For displaying our data, we used HTML, CSS, and Bootstrap styling. JavaScript was used for the hiding and revealing of our user form and validation of form data. The last two technologies we used were Dropbox and I Love PDF Converter, which were used for when a client submits legal documents, it's all converted to one PDF and emails our client that information was submitted. We also made use of GitHub for version control. For our future plans for this project include cleaning it up and fixing any last bugs. We also plan to display this in the near plan to deploy this in the near future after addition of other features. What we learned from this project was this project was much bigger than we first realized, and learned that all the work is in the details. We also learned that trying to work with older technology is sometimes tougher than just moving on to a newer technology. Thanks to our client, Mark, for giving us this opportunity and working with us thus far. Also, thank everyone for coming out tonight to listen to our presentation. And do you have any questions for our team?
Yeah, team, this seems like a pretty interesting project. Again, not being a lawyer myself, but hearing you speak about it, you mentioned having clients, cases, things like conflicts of interest and things like that. Which of those areas that you worked in as you were kind of creating the system, which one of them created the most challenges for you? I'm sure there are a lot of different aspects of kind of those, all the different pieces of data that you're managing that were challenging, but which one sticks out as the trickiest?
I would probably have to say just learning his old database and tables of information. Since we aren't obviously law professionals ourselves, learning how things work between what information is relevant for an attorney, like how escrows work, and a lot of that very law-based information took quite a bit of talking with our client to figure out, how best it should be working within the site.
Could you possibly see any future use for this type of software? Do you think other lawyers could potentially benefit from something like what you created for this project?
That's actually
Yes.
something that we've discussed with Mark. Yeah, if Alric, you want to talk about that.
Yeah, for sure. So when we talk to our client, he would like to continue us like adding more features after graduation. And because he wants to potentially make it full-fledged software that other people or other firms can use and not only his.
Yeah, you can certainly see the potential, especially in a field that seems like they use, again, like the team previous to you. If a business is using quite a bit of paper, oftentimes a good piece of software can help remove some of those headaches and the difficulties that those things can bring. Any other questions from here in the room? Garrick or other folks here? I'll also take a peek at the YouTube side as well and see if I see anything there. All right, so a comment from YouTube. It sounds like you built a really strong and professional relationship with your client. What was it like having a lawyer as a client? That's kind of a unique situation. Sometimes we're dealing with people that work in technology or other things like that. What was it like working with a lawyer? Did that present any unique challenges, or was that a good thing or a difficult thing for your team?
I think it was really interesting because he was really, really flexible, and we could contact him pretty much at any time, and he'll usually email back within a day or so. It was more of, he kind of gave us the reins to the project to kind of go about it as we would to make it the easiest on us.
What was the steepest technology learning curve out of all the things that you were using, would you say?
For me personally, it would be the Dropbox API system, because Dropbox itself only supports a very limited number of coding languages. So having to read one language, look up all of its meanings online, try and find its sorry about that, similar languages in the language you're working on, and then write it, and then pray to the tech gods that it actually works is a challenge in and of itself.
So what you're saying is you inadvertently had to port an API, so to speak.
Yeah, just about.
Awesome. Again, team, great job. And I think I think everyone can say it's great to hear as well that your client is interested in potentially continuing this project. And it seems to be a bright future for all the work that you've done here. It might not just be limited to this one spot. Who knows? This could be something that could make its way to the market and help out quite a few other folks. Again, great work, team. It's very impressive to see what folks have been able to come up with over the course of 2 quarters. So we have 3 teams left. Again, we want to thank everybody for their participation so far. Thanks for sending in those questions and comments and things like that over on YouTube. It really is great to see. So we are down to our last 3 teams. So up next is the RAM Rebels. So RAM Rebels, when you're ready, you can go ahead and begin.
Thank you everyone for joining us during our project showcase. We are Team RAM Rebels, and the project that we worked on is iPassport, a student attendance tracker. In the team, we got Raj, Rob, Alex, and Marcos. And now I'll hand it off to Marcos to talk about our client.
Thank you, Alex. We had the wonderful opportunity to collaborate with the iUrban Teen online team. A little bit about our collaborators is that the iUrban Teen is a nonprofit organization known for their exceptional STEM and arts education program. We were honored with the help we received from both program coordinator of Mindstream, Tavi Keo, and executive assistant Christine Smith. Next, let us discuss the project. Before our involvement, tracking students' activity online with courses that they take was time consuming and limiting. Recording activity was done manually through Excel. Our goal was to provide an application that minimized manual work and increased efficiency. Now I'd like to hand it off to Raj for things we learned.
Thank you, Marcos. So during this project, we were able to work with a CSV file. We have normally worked with text files before, but this was the first time working with the CSV filing and finding different software or tools that could process that, parse it correctly, and for us to get the data that we needed. So first we started off with pop-up parse, but that converted into HTML output, which wasn't helpful to us. So we went back to PHP and created a function that would go ahead, find the data, and save it into a PHP variable. Other learning opportunities was working with the remote environment due to the COVID situation. Usually we would work on campus and possibly meet before class or after class and get our work done then. But when you're at home, you have to keep reminding yourself, hey, I have to manage this myself. I need this time for school. I need this time for work and this time to work on this project, because you tend to get lazy on a home environment. And last but not least, client communication. In some of our previous projects, we had like a middleman, either be a professor that communicates with the client and gets back to us. But for this project, it was all on us. So we had to make some choices. We had to make some decisions. There wasn't a middleman for us to ask, hey, can you ask the client if this is good? We had to reach out to the client, get feedback from them, and then proceed. So next, I'm going to talk about some of the tech stacks that we worked with. So since this was on a web page, so HTML was a big part of it. JavaScript, jQuery was all used to handle the functionality in terms of buttons And with MySQL, that's what we used to hold the student data. So that was their name, email, and total times in the classroom. Well, PHP was used to push the data up and pull it to view. Bootstrap was there for the styling. GitHub was used to manage the project workflow. Zoom and Discord were key in communicating with both team and client. And PHP Storm was the IDE of choice for writing the code. And CSV was the file type that we used. And web hosting for students is where we're hosting the site right now. Next, I'm going to hand it off to Rob to go ahead and demo the project.
Thanks, Raj. Now I will demonstrate our product for everyone. First, the user will be brought to the login page and log in. Once logged in, the user will be brought to the upload page. And from there, they have options to upload a CSV file, view all records, clear the records in the database, or even log out. First, I will show you that there's nothing in the database. And we will come back to that screen for uploading in just a moment. There's nothing in the database currently. So now I will upload a CSV file. We start by clicking on the CSV link in the nav bar, and then we select our file, go to choose file, and then we pick our file, then we click the upload button, and it uploads our CSV. It tells us all the information that's going to be uploaded, and then once we look at that and make sure it's for the correct meeting and everything, then we push approve and submit. This then takes us to the new screen that shows us everything that was just submitted to the database. So that way we know everything is there. And then from there we can go to view all records. And in view all records, it lets us see that everything that has been uploaded is there. Once we're here, we can copy everything to the clipboard or download things to a CSV file, an Excel file, or a PDF file even. And then we also have the option to print all the data that's in the database. With this, we also have the ability to hide different columns that we don't want to see. And then we can also sort everything. And then since like it was discussed earlier that everybody wants, or they want to be able to track the students by how much time they spend in the program, we can sort by minutes even. And then once we've done looking through all that information, we can and decide that it's time to clear the database because this is on a cycle system. We can come in and clear records. And then from here we push clear records, and then we have a confirmation that makes sure we don't accidentally clear them. So we say yes, clear records, and it'll clear them. And then we come back to the view record screen and there is nothing there. Once we're done with everything that we need to do, then we're able to log out, and we just click the log out button and we are now logged out. And that's the completion of the demonstration. Thank you for your time. And do you have any questions or comments? And that's the end of the presentation for us. So we're open to questions, comments, and feedback.
Well, team, I think I'm wanted to point something out here. I'm just taking a moment myself to think how I would use something like this. So what is the ideal source data that you're getting for this? So I know you're bringing in a CSV. What would be creating that CSV in order to kind of bring that into the system?
You want me to take it? Okay. So Zoom already has a function. So if you like, Zoom does the data collecting itself. And when you log into your account, if you're the host, you have access to the reports where you can download from your previous meetings. Like I think it's up to 5 previous meetings or a couple of days where you can just click download and it downloads the data for you. And what that does, it has different sections, like it has the meeting name, host name, and then different attendees, co-hosts. And from there, we have to go and find the section that has attendee details or participants and find the usernames, emails, not passwords, username, emails, first and last, and then the total time spent, since that's what our urban team needs.
Yeah, That seems to make a ton of sense. So I'm thinking for myself, attendance tracking like this is probably very widely used now with so many folks having Zoom meetings as their primary way to meet with other folks. Your client, is this something that they're going to be able to use right away? Is this something they're doing? What is their current system that they're using in order to track attendance?
So right now what they have is they have a person that downloads that data. He makes an Excel sheet and manually inputs the users on there. So it's like the previous clients, you know, how they had for the previous Java boys, they had the manually writing the information out. It's that, but on Excel. So which only one person is doing this. So our goal for creating this web page was that it could be given to other people. So like say you hosted a meeting, you can go right afterwards and go ahead and upload instead of waiting for the said person to go take time out of their day or whenever they're free, go download the data and then upload it. So it's not just one person has to do everything. It could be like a collaborative project where everybody can be a part of and upload as they go along.
Very cool. I know our YouTube folks are on a little bit of a delay, so we'll give them another moment to ask a question. I'll do a quick throwback question, just knowing what your team has done. You chose not to speak about it in your presentation. Can you talk a little bit about the project that your team took on prior to this kind of CSV and attendance tool that you worked on?
So our prior project was for a gentleman starting up a apparel business and wanting to be able to sell his shirts, and currently it's more word of mouth and stuff, so he's wanting to be able to publicly put it out there to the on the internet, and then he's starting to try to set up how people can order and everything. So we were setting him up a easier way for him to start it out, because he's just starting this and doesn't have a location and a lot of the stuff that most businesses would have. So an access point for people to make orders through him.
I'm just going to share my screen real quick just so we can showcase that in the next couple of minutes.
Awesome. Thank you.
So yeah, the project was called Wetland Society. It was a apparel company or startup. So we had a different design, but talking with the client, we figured out that he wanted something that works vertically down, and he wants to showcase his top products in like a slideshow carousel model. So that's what we have right here with the beanies. So any second now they should rotate over. But as you work down, he wanted a quote. So we asked what he wanted. So he wanted a little picture with a quote. We went ahead and did that. And then he wanted to showcase some upcoming merchandise, which is here. And mailing list works. So you can go ahead and type in and submit, and it'll add you to the mailing list. And then if we go down to shop all, you can go ahead and select the quantity for whatever you'd like, and then fill out this simple form. And when you click submit, they'll go ahead and send a form to him saying, hey, this is the person's contact information and this is what they would like to order. So he can go in manually and take the payment. Since it is a small startup, there wasn't anything like in terms of sales and usage on the site. It's not anything super crazy for the time being. So this was very entry level, very on budget. So we did the basics that the client needed, and yeah, we were proud of this one, but we wanted to showcase what we worked on previously. So yep.
Awesome. Yeah, it's cool to see in this situation where you're able to actually cross 2 finish lines during the course of the classes here. So yeah, definitely impressive to see both of those things at work. There was another comment that came through here. Give me one moment and I'll find that. So this could be so useful to many different clients in many different fields. Love the idea. Is this something that, if you're thinking more about the your first project here, is this something about, excuse me, not first project, the CSV project, is this something that you could see expanding or kind of potentially making it open source or using it in some other areas for those that are leveraging Zoom pretty heavily still?
So I'm part of another nonprofit group, and we used to do monthly meetups, and we have Zoom meetings 4 or 5 a month at minimum, and he's been wanting to keep track of who's coming to what and stuff. And I briefly spoke with him about it just the other night, actually, and he's interested in learning more because he's curious about what meetings are doing better for stuff, and to reach out the demographics because he knows the people that come to him. So he's interested in it and talking to a few other people just in vague general terms. They said they'd be interested, and I know one of our other instructors mentioned it might be good for teachers and instructors in different locations too. So it's definitely something that could be expanded upon and publicized.
Just to add on to that with what Robert had mentioned, I think the eye-catching thing is the versatility when it comes to, hey, I can export this or export this from CSV to a PDF to another Excel spreadsheet and all that. So I think that's really going to catch the attention of consumers out in the area that may be interested in our products.
Yeah, and this is just the start. So it can only get better from here. Right now, the functionality is what they needed, but obviously we can create a database that tracks it by monthly so they don't have to delete data, and probably add a model so that way they can update from the data table itself, not having to go and edit the CSV file. So more updates will come later. But as for right now, we have it completed to what was requested of us, and anything extra is additions. So yeah.
Very cool, team. Again, great job. Want to commend you again for taking on 2 different projects, kind of challenging your different skill sets there, and getting them both pretty well complete is a really big accomplishment there. So great work. Again, we have 2 more teams left. So next we will welcome Team ME. So Team ME, take it away. You can begin when you're ready.
Hi everyone, we are Team ME. Our project this quarter was to create a web presence for Ravine Freight. I am Maureen and my teammate is Elijah. Our client is Stephen Karaoke, and he is the owner of Ravine Freight Tracking LLC. It is a small hauling company working all around the United States. His hope is to simplify his business model by directly advertising his business to companies. He hopes to eliminate the middlemen who are brokers in his contracting and increase the number of potential clients. Our goal for this project was to create a web presence and make this the official website for Ravine Freight Tracking LLC. This acts as a brochure for their services. It will hopefully attract other companies to notice his service and give him business. I will now welcome Elijah to discuss our tech stack and tools.
So in terms of tech stacks and tools, we've used HTML and CSS naturally as a website. Also a bit of Bootstrap for styling, as well as a bit of custom CSS for our mobile views. And we've also had a bit of jQuery naturally to assist the Bootstrap, and also a bit of custom jQuery for the mobile view as well. Also have PHP because our site does have a small request to quote form, acting similarly to the contact information that you saw in one of the previous projects, basically allowing it to easily contact him and start up a conversation so they can get services going. And onto tools, we have getform.io, that request to quote form that I was just talking about. We've used getform.io as a database, as sort of a third party, in order to save us the headache of developing another database from scratch. As well as GitHub for version control, Discord and Zoom for contacting each other, as well as HostGator acting as the final place for ravinefreight.com. In terms of what we have done, I suppose the best way to show you what we've done is to show you what we've done. So in every search engine except for Google right now, we actually have it appearing as one of the first options. We are still working on getting it higher up in the indexing for Google. But if we go here, we'll go here. Good, the HTTPS is working. And yeah, we have here a simple but to the point website, which is what our client wanted. A nice, effective brochure with information, services, name of the company, as well as certifications to ensure that the company is, an actual company. We have here an email, which will open up an email site, or will open up your email application if you have one. If you don't have one, or if you want to do something else, we also have this request a quote form, which here, wait a minute, I should put it here to show that it works in mobile view as well. So if I put in valid information, which I am not going to put in right now to show that it works even with invalid, or to show that it will not submit, it's validated. So if we put an invalid information, oh no, the information is invalid. How could this have happened? So we'll copy, well, I'll put in the proper information. 7AB54A. So we have maple syrup with the proper phone number and a proper email format. When submitted, it should take us to a thank you page, return to home, and that's about as far as it is for the clients, for the potential client of our client side. However, from our client side, he will receive an email notifying him that a form has been submitted and can easily log into Get Form and see them all here. So this is the site we've built. I think for only a 2-person team in 3 months, I think it turned out rather well.
We give a big thanks to our client for giving us the opportunity to work with him, for our instructors and college for guiding us through our goals. Thank you all, and if there are any questions, feedback, or comments, we will appreciate and answer them accordingly.
I'll throw one question your way first. What was it like to work on just a team of 2? So most teams we've seen so far have been 3, if not 4 people. What was it like to kind of travel light with just 2 of you?
I would say for me, it was very easy to cut the corners of all the problems in the code, because I would learn everything from seeing my partner do the way it's supposed to be. And if we had a bigger team, there was some chunks of places that you'd not know how it was done unless you were in the pair programming part.
So yeah, I would say it does have its pros and cons. Like for example, with only 2 people, you can't get the sheer amount of stuff done in a short time, but it is easier to communicate. And also there's only 2 of us. We didn't even have to work with GitHub branches. We just kind of paired program most of this.
I was going to mention, I saw that in terms of reviewing your GitHub work, that you took the classic example of, in terms of working just off of master. The term for that out in industry, by the way, is called trunk-based development. And it has a lot of tight communication advantages to it. It takes some disciplined engineering to be able to scale that out beyond 2 people.
There's a comment over from YouTube mentioning, I'll see if I can get the full comment here, mentioning kind of the accomplishment that you've done of kind of overcoming all the search engine optimization for all of the other places. They've mentioned that Google has some quirky and unique rules, but they wanted to say you did a great job in getting it to rank so highly everywhere else. And I will attest for that as well, that Google, I think with time, you'll convince Google to follow as well. All right. Any other questions or comments for this team from the room? Yeah, once again, great job, team. I think moving fast and light, it's pretty impressive to see all that you were able to come up with in the short amount of time that you had together. So great work there. Yeah, we're also seeing some other kudos and compliments over there on YouTube. So take a peek over there if you'd like to respond to any of those folks. All right, so with that, we're going to move on to our final team. So the last team we have to present today is Legion of Code. And as they're getting started, again, we just want to thank all of you for your comments, for sticking around, for giving so much good feedback to these teams, and a great job to all of these teams. I know we've said it here and there, but a lot of work has gone into all these projects, and we have a huge appreciation for all that you're able to accomplish, all that you're able to overcome in the format that we've been using throughout this course. Figuring things out through Zoom always takes a couple extra steps. So great job and great work so far. So with that, I'll hand it to our last team here. So Legion of Code, take it away. When you're ready, you can begin your presentation.
All right, y'all, we are Legion of Code, and our project is the War-Taken card game companion app. I'm Olivia, and my team is formed of Carrie, Shot, and Cody. Here's some contact info for us. And it has been an absolute privilege to work with this team for the past 6 months. Our client and product owner is Brandon C. Adams. In addition to his day job as a UX manager at Microsoft and his role as a husband and father of 5, he is the creator of the War-Taken card game. He's been an excellent client, very hands-on, very involved with his UX UI experience. He gave us some really beautiful artwork and designs to work with, and we are very thankful for him giving trust in his vision, in his baby, his pet project to us.
So this was our product path for the War-Taken companion app. It's a modern military-themed deck construction game. We were asked to create the War-Taken companion application, and the app displays a news feed that we collect from the website. It will have user profiles to display victories. It will display a battle interface to track gameplay mechanics like turn order, leader health, and a lot more. And users will be able to manage their collection and build their ultimate deck to decimate their opponents.
All right. So we used, at the beginning of the project, our plan was, well, we basically talked to the client and we came up with a tech stack called Cordova, which is not widely used in the industry. It's mainly of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And for the backend, we were trying Microsoft Azure or Bluehost. With some trials, we found out that you need to pay for Microsoft Azure in order to use it. And we went for the Bluehost. And in between the quarter, I would say right after the winter quarter, we faced a really great amount of obstacles with the Cordova tech stack. And we had to transition to a new one, which is Flutter. And Cody's going to talk about those two tech stack that we pretty much worked on throughout the 6 months of our project.
Yeah, so as Shaw stated, we began our project using Cordova, and we had some really early success with the tech stack. As Shaw said, about halfway through our project, we began to notice some parts of the tech stack were no longer being supported, which will hinder the development and the future livelihood of the product itself. So as a team, we had to sit down and make the very hard decision, how do we go about this? We made the very difficult decision to move on to a different tech stack, which would basically require us to rebuild the entire product. From the 6 to 8 different alternatives to Cordova that we had, we decided to go with Flutter. Although it's a fairly new product, being just over 4 years old, the community and the documentation that sit behind it is extremely helpful for us and makes it very easy to get caught back up to where we wanted to. Obviously we didn't have as much time as we would have wanted with Flutter. So our main goal was just to get caught up to where we had gotten in Apache Cordova, and we were able to achieve those goals that we had set out to.
So for our data, because I was mostly in backend, we used MySQL. And we did our best over many, many iterations to break the cards down into their atomic components. And this was to make it easy for our client to create an outline for a card and very quickly attach commonly used components so that we have to enter by hand as little data as possible.
So on the client end, the back end, we have an admin page where he can upload new cards, new artists and sets, and then there is a display form for them. The display page shows kind of a digital representation of what the card looks like. Those are actual card images, card artwork, but it is dummy data. And the cards are searchable by their different details, by the different types and subtypes. This is currently live, and he is adding cards to it.
So basically, you can see two demos here. One is from Cordova, another one is from Flutter, and we have worked with two tech stack, and it's been great working with both of them and learning new tech stack in 6 months, which was really difficult, but we managed to come up with a decent MVP version of our project. So this is from Cordova right now. I'll be playing the demo. Here you can see this is the Android one. The splash screen. This is the login page. And we have some animation when you go to the home page. And that's the Forsaken homepage tab. And you can see the 4 tabs below: the profile, the cards, and the battle tab, which we haven't completed yet. But after what we faced, the difficulties, we transitioned to the Flutter. And so far, we managed a demo here. You could see the homepage here on the Forsaken tab.
So it's a little less polished visually, just because this was finished just this past week. So we were focusing more on functionality, but we did get it able to pop up in the in-app browser, and then it takes you to the main site, which is what the client wanted.
But within a short span of time, you had to learn all the tutorials and go through the resources and documents. We came up, pretty good idea about the Flutter. I wish we had more time, but this is so far we have managed, and we worked really hard. So our next slide would be. Next slide is the future of this project. We still have many features to create, and some of the features are the profiles, the card collection, battle interface, the tournament, and the rankings, which we will talk to our clients, talk to our client Brandon, and we will transfer all the code and documents that we have so far. And so far, this is what we have. Any questions? Thank you for listening to us.
Yeah, we've got some comments that I'll highlight from YouTube. A couple of folks mentioning in a couple different ways the impressiveness of being able to realize that one stack wasn't working quite right, making a strong pivot, and then moving to the next one. Can you talk a little bit about what it was like as a team to have to change directions midway through?
Yeah, I can kind of talk about that. That decision was mainly spearheaded by myself and Shaw, since Carrie and Olivia were doing a lot of the work in the back end with the admin page and the data sets. Me and Shaw were doing a lot of the work in Cordova itself. And as we were continuing to work, it's, hey, Shaw, I'm noticing that this isn't quite working right. And it was a mutual understanding that, hey, this isn't quite working right. And it ended up getting to the point where it's, okay, now we need to actually sit down and have a conversation about this because this isn't working right.
So basically what happened was when we tried integrating our APIs on Cordova side, our main issue was we were using iframe on our code, and iframe, so Google banned iframe totally from their app store. So if any app contains iframes, they won't allow it to launch it. And that was a huge issue for us. Not for us, just for the client too. So down the line, if the client wants to launch it on the app, on the Play Store, it won't happen because it won't go through. So that was the main reason we sat down and talked to him about, hey, if you are using Google, then iframe won't allow it to go through. So we had to totally change that. And also we were having issues with Facebook API integration with the iframe. So pretty much the Cordova act as a wrapper. And also through our findings, we saw that there were some security issues like clickjacking and cross-frame scripts that can be used to get user data and stuff, which is some JavaScript calls that you can make, like post message and everything. So those were the things came to us, and it was a huge red flag, and we had to sit down and talk to our client. As we were all new to this, we didn't know about it, and it was a huge learning curve, and we had to transition to a new tech stack, which would be beneficial for the client down the line. We can move on, and Flutter is industry-wide used nowadays. You have resources for it. So basically, our whole project for 6 months, I mean, one of the things I tell myself that we learned is that never use a tech stack that has less resources on Google. So yeah, I'm really glad that our team worked hard. Thankful to Olivia, Cody, and Kerry, so working the time and putting effort. So yeah, I'm glad I worked with them.
Very cool. We're seeing a couple more comments from YouTube. People commenting that they really like the look of what you're doing and what you're able to accomplish so far. And also
That's all
mentioning.
Brandon.
Say that again.
That's all Brandon, our product owner. Just gorgeous designs and wireframes for us.
What was it like working on something that connects so closely to a game? You mentioned the database tables. What was it like to have to having the idea of a companion app that fits along with kind of another outside concept? What was it like to kind of connecting technology to something that is so complex with a game?
Carrie, do you want to take that one?
Picking apart all of the data that's present in just a few of the cards in the game was very hard. We had to go through a lot of tweaks because we just found that there was more and more complexity that we just weren't expecting, and we had to find new ways to break things off and make sure that they were components that we could add to cards instead of having to just reiterate the data over and over again. So
yeah, team, I think it's very cool. And one of the things that Shaw mentioned that I think your team has done a good job of expressing, switching directions midstream can be very challenging. So a huge shout out to you all for persevering through. I think some people would have kind of wanted to just shut this project in a closet, not have to think about it again. But to go through that process, to be able to recreate some of the other things, and to do that learning process twice for the different technologies. Again, a huge shout out there. Yeah, several folks again are mentioning the look of this, the coolness of having it connect to that card game there. So again, great job on taking on a really big task there. And I think that learning process will definitely stick with you of figuring out those tools when they don't quite work for you, and the tough challenges that can ensue in order to address that. Well, team, again, thank you very much. And we also, at this point, want to thank everybody who's been a part of this presentation so far. We've heard from 8 teams. There have been a few other teams and a few other individuals that have also been working hard throughout these past 2 quarters. We want to congratulate all of these graduating seniors. And again, with that, we're going to be wrapping up our YouTube live stream. We're going to have a little bit of an internal meeting just to wrap up after this. But thank you for all of the comments. Thank you for all of your work, teams, and all of our viewers and partners and folks who've been over on YouTube. Thanks for joining us. So with that, I believe we will get our YouTube live stream wrapped up, and we're going to continue on to just a little bit of an internal conversation after that. So just give us one